Has Heidi come in?
Yes. Heidi, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, we can't hear you.
You're
She
muted.
responded.
Oh, there she is. Okay, perfect.
She's here.
Heidi's here. And we just approved the agenda. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes. 20.
I move we accept the minutes as presented.
All in favor to approve the minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Heidi, you okay?
I can't hear her.
Heidi, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi.
All right. Minutes approved. Anybody signed up for public comment?
We did get one email. Did you have any other ones that signed up?
We did get one email, but I think it's more appropriate for the comment during one of the public hearings. Did you see you had a phone message from someone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it the same one?
So I don't think we have general public comment.
Same one.
Okay.
She's talking
All right.
about.
Yes.
I didn't do any of that one.
So it's just, we're talking about the same one, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Same person, yes.
All right. So then next is new business, and I would like to entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Heidi, you're on.
Hi, I'm in.
All right. Then we have variance request 2003 by William C. Harding, a request for a variance from setbacks. Does anybody on the board have any personal knowledge upon which you may rely that is not in the record on this specific hearing variance?
No.
No?
I do need to make y'all aware that years ago, my daughter went to their school. Doesn't cause a conflict for me or my ability to make a decision in this matter. I can take assistance of what we've done in the past, so. I do have some, I live just across the street, not too far from it.
Okay.
Would you repeat that, Bert, for the folks listening? Your microphone wasn't on.
Sorry. Sorry about that. Years ago, my daughter went to their school. It doesn't cause me any type of conflict or anything to keep me from being consistent with our past decisions in the matter.
Anybody else? Then next we need to swear, or the swearing in of those to present evidence will be done by our fearless clerk. So anybody, including the applicant, I guess?
Yes, if you give me one moment to collect names. Who is going to speak?
I'm going to speak.
Your name?
William?
Harding. Hardin.
You, sir?
William Gocher,
Okay.
like Gocher, like poacher.
And then,
I can speak if needed.
do you think there's any chance you're going to?
Yes, I'm Kelly Hardin, Kellyi.
Okay.
Yeah, hold that up.
Yeah, we're gonna do this a little differently than we normally would. We normally ask you to raise your right hand, put your left hand on the Bible. Because of COVID, I'm gonna ask you to just mime it.
All right, here we go.
All right. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then next, we would like to recognize our zoning official to present the case and make his or recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what you have before you is variance request 20-03, a request of William G. Harden for a variance of the required side yard setbacks for property located at 2115 Butler Bridge Road. The specific request before you this evening is a 19.44 foot reduction in the required 30-foot rear yard setback and the 14.6 foot reduction in the required 30-foot side yard setback. This meeting was properly advertised, the property was posted, and letters were sent to adjoining neighbors. Property is zoned neighborhood commercial or MR-NC. The town received this application November 20th. Again, the setbacks are 30 foot from the side or rear yard. The applicant is seeking a reduction in those setbacks to allow for an addition to the building that is 1,000 square feet. And I believe that is for the addition of 2 new classrooms. The building has been in place, was in place before the town incorporated. In order to grant a variance, you'll see on the second page, the standards are number one, that unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the regulation. It shall not be necessary to demonstrate that in the absence of a variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property. Number 2, the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as location, size, or topography. Hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood or the general public, may not be the basis for granting a variance. A variance may be granted when necessary and appropriate to make the reasonable accommodation of the Federal Fair Housing Act for a person with a disability. Number 3, the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The act of purchasing with knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify the granting of a variance shall not be regarded as a self-created hardship. And number 4, the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulation, such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. This board may place reasonable conditions on the application as it sees fit to protect public health and welfare. Again, in summary, the applicant is seeking a reduction in required setbacks in section 154.058, part D6, and the required side yard setback described in 154.058B7 of the Town of Mills River Code of Ordinances. Included with your packet is the application, a vicinity map, a site map, and a site plan. And I will pull up the site plan for the benefit of those watching on the Zoom or Facebook call, so we can see what we're looking at. One moment. So the property is outlined in that solid black line, sort of a triangular shape, and on the lower right corner and at the middle part of the page there, you'll see the measurements for the requested setbacks. (19.44 feet) and 14.6 feet of the setback dimensions, or the difference between the building and the property line. That's all I have for a summary.
Okay. That's it? Yeah.
That's it, but I think I found an error in the way that I presented this in your staff report. That building is showing as being 19.44 feet off the rear yard, which would actually be a setback reduction of 11.56 feet. I apologize about that. That was a gross oversight. So the side yard would be a reduction of 15.4 feet.
Okay. So that's a correction to the staff report that we can take it.
Yeah, it doesn't affect the advertisement. The advertisement stated a variance request. The variance was requested. Not the specific dimensions.
And your recommendation?
I don't have a recommendation. This is quasi judicial, so I present the facts and I leave it to the board to make a decision. I'm happy to answer any questions about the case or the circumstances of it.
Then, next, we'd like to recognize the applicant to agree or object to any of the exhibits that have been on the display here. None?
That's accurate, that's what we said. Okay.
Okay. Then next, we can question our, or address questions to our zoning official. Anyway,
As anyone from the school or that other side, on the other side of the property owner, they reached out to?
Yes, we did receive a comment from the pastor of the church next door. I can read that now if the board would like to hear it. This is the public comment that Kirk and I were discussing. This is addressed to me via email. Dear Daniel Cobb, zoning/zoning board. My wife and I are the owners of 2193 Butler Bridge Road, adjoining 2115 Butler Bridge Road. We would be against any expansion or building toward our common property line. On the other side of the road, other side of the building from us, we are okay. The current building at 2115 Butler Bridge Road is already very close to our house, and the noise from the daycare is already enough. And that's from Daryl and Pam Ellis.
So that would be that'd be the property to, not the, so one side's the school and the other side is,
Here's their property right
It's
here.
right here.
and that's the same property the church is on?
I believe so.
No, not really.
Because isn't there a home and a church?
Yeah.
Right there.
Oh, yes, you're right. There's a home and then there's a church.
And this is addressed from Pastor Ellis.
Well, as you're coming from 280 and you come up that way, you go to the church first. And then beyond the church is the home, and then you come around the corner and then you see the daycare.
So does the church even border this daycare?
No.
No, but the home does.
Is the home belonging to the pastor who reached out to us?
Yes. I believe it's actually considered a parsonage or a rectory or whatever word. The preacher's house.
See how it shows up?
Yeah.
All right, that's all the questions.
Any other questions? On the map, the existing building, do you know how far the corner is from the property line?
No, I do not. We can scale that and measure it.
Yeah, so maybe 22 feet or something? 23?
Is that, is the trouble that
Mhm.
the tree stump is close to 30 feet, like it's 30 feet, right?
We're recording this, So if you would wait to be acknowledged to speak, that would be helpful.
If I'm reading this correctly, the addition is going to be abutting more the Henderson County property where the school is, where Glen Marlowe is, as opposed to the part of it. Oh, I see, because of, all right, I've answered my own question. Thank you.
Okay, but my point is more that the existing building already is within that distance of 23 feet. So beyond the 30 feet setback.
Yes, according to the survey,
Yeah,
it's roughly 23 feet.
okay. The other question. What is marked as building in the corner, the south corner of the property? Is that, would that not be considered also for the setback normally? It's of course pre-existing.
It would not be, it's not the subject of this variance request.
Mhm.
If they were to move that or add to it, it would have to comply with the appropriate setbacks, but as it is, it's there, correct? Right, okay. So unless something changes with it, it doesn't have to comply with the current standards.
Okay. Any other questions for our town manager and young individual at this time? Heidi, are you on?
I am.
Any questions?
My only question, besides the obvious violating the variance, is there any other negative reasons should they add the building? Does it do anything negatively with drainage or that we know of?
We've not reviewed any building plans at this point, Heidi.
Okay,
This is as far as we got with the concept of the development.
Well, are they on a sewer or septic tank?
I believe it's sewer. Yes, okay.
Well, then it doesn't matter really.
Could you turn on your microphone, please?
I thought it was.
Mm.
Now is it?
Yep.
Okay. The requested additional square footage is going to be indoor and enclosed, correct?
That's correct.
Where is the play area for the children? Is that the
On the opposite side of the building.
the white kind of dotted line thing going around? All right, so that's not going to be enlarged. Okay. So in theory, it shouldn't, the addition should not include, should not raise the volume level
No, ma'am.
in theory.
All right, any other questions for our zoning officials? Because then I want to give our applicants
Okay.
a chance to present arguments. Anything else for,
No, I just want to reiterate the correction. The request is actually for a rear yard setback, a reduction of the rear yard reduction would be 11.56 feet.
Yeah.
And the side yard would be 15.4. Otherwise, there's nothing else to add.
okay? Then I would like to give our applicants a opportunity to present evidence, argument as you want.
Thank you. Thank you guys for hearing us this evening. My name is William Harden. I'm the president of Aletheia Fellowships, and we've been at Butler Bridge since 2012. We're a nonprofit providing early childhood education to the community. And our basic goal here is to be able to add classrooms. The community is growing, and yet our building is only so large. Unfortunately, where the building was placed and when it was built, was prior, like you said, prior to the incorporation of the town. And so the setbacks were set over top of our building. So essentially, if our building burnt down, we could not build it back in the same place without a variance. So for us to be able to continue to serve the community, we're asking that we be able to add those 2 classrooms. That where that's located on the property, that 1,000 square foot, is predominantly, as you said, on the Glen Marlowe side. There's a huge field there between us and Glen Marlowe. And then what you don't see on the plat is the thick row of trees that runs the entire property line. There between the 2 properties. You can see it here. The hardship for us is that there's nowhere else on the property with these setbacks that we could even conceive of adding a classroom. It would put us in, no matter what we do, unless we just really build the building, in a really weird shape and really ruin its aesthetic and curb appeal, we can't build anywhere. Our goal is in where we've located the addition is to be able to maintain the aesthetic of the building, to make it functional, and to accommodate the growth of the community of Mills River, which, as we know, Taproot development's coming, and they're going to be children. And so this is the first part of our expansion. We'd like to expand this location so we can double the capacity at this location. And then in the future, we'd like to look for other places and continue to provide affordable childcare for the Mills River community. As you notice on the survey, we have kept our expansion directly in line with the current shape of the building. And so we really are not, the encroachment on that side is negligible when compared with the existing facility. So we're not, as you said, this is going to be an enclosed building. And as far as sound goes, all I would ask is, can you hear your neighbors inside their house? If you typically can't, then you probably will not hear the children inside of this building. Outside, in the playground area, if you're outside, you probably will hear them, their children. But that's not going to change. That's basically our, our goal in being here. One of the things that I noticed is that all of the properties that are zoned the way that our property is zoned, it was in the packet that we included. Typically, in that, at least that area of Mills River, they're all very large facilities. So you've got Volvo, you've got Pepsi. 30 foot makes sense when you're building large facilities that way. 30 foot on this property doesn't give you much area to build. And so that's why we believe that we do have a real hardship with this property that was of no fault of our own. And our goal is to get a variance so that we can add on.
Questions? I have one question.
Yes.
Do you have any other plans for expansion on this property?
No, we have to have a certain amount of square footage for children in outdoor play mandated by the state. And so once we increase our number of children to the capacity of this addition, there's not enough room on the property left to do anything else. That's why we would look to another property in the future if we were going to expand. This property is going to be maxed out.
Is there going to be any access from the west side of the expansion?
No, our goal is to maintain our entrance and exit way over there. If you look at the survey that Mr. Cobb had up there, you'll see how the expansion goes a little bit past the existing building toward the Butler Bridge Road side. The reason for that is right now, the way that you enter and exit our facility is directly into children's classrooms. For security purposes and just general, we don't really like that. We want to be able to, in part of that area that jots out, will be a new office area or entryway, so that we'll be bringing people in that door, and we can, we can provide a more secure area for entrance and exit. And so that's our primary goal. We do have to have an exit from every classroom per the state. So we will have doors in that outside that will have to open into some kind of chain link fence. Again, per the state. But that doesn't have to be, that just has to be there for fire code, so that if we do let children out of an exterior door, they're not running down the road.
But it would only be emergency exits on that side.
Yeah. We'll probably wrap it around so that we can take them out and then take them to the playground on the other side of the building, so that there's never a time where they're outside of the fence for their safety and
So if I'm hearing, am I turned off? Yeah. If I'm hearing you correctly, the 20 by 50 requested addition, then you're gonna go about, say, 5 feet out all around with a chain link fence?
yeah, to get them out of the door, enough to open the door and take them around to the other side of the building.
And a fence doesn't then go more into the area?
So
Do you
from
know
what-
what I'm trying to say?
from what I
I'm
can-
not saying it right, but it's like it's, all of a sudden it poofed out 5 feet
You
more.
need a variance for the fence, I guess is what you're asking.
From what I
Yeah.
can tell, a fence is not a part of,
That's
not a part
correct.
of the setback.
Yeah, setback deals with structures. That fence is not considered a structure for
So
building.
the fence would be legal, it wouldn't
Mhm.
cause another problem?
Correct.
You can put a fence on your property line.
On your property line, yes, but this is going to be out from the house, pardon me, from the building.
If your property line is even closer to the adjoining property.
Right. Well,
All the way up to the parameters of the property,
the
the
play,
fence can go is what we've been
okay,
told.
well, the play area is fenced right now anyway, correct?
Yes.
And that's right close to the property line.
It's much
Yeah.
closer than the setback, because the setback is only
Okay.
on a building structure.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Heidi?
Yes, I just have one. What are your hours of operation?
7:30 to 5:30.
7:30 to 5:30, I hesitate because we did have two locations and their hours were different, so 7:30 to 5:30.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant at this time? No? No? Mr. Hayes? No. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is an acknowledgement that the public hearing was noticed properly. I think we heard that already, confirmed by our zoning administrator, town manager. Recognition of any other person that wants to speak on behalf of the applicant.
I don't think I have anything to add to
No?
that.
All right.
I'm the owner of the building and the property, and I'm these poor people's landlord. And I am predicting that they're gonna get old like I am, and they won't want to run that daycare anymore themselves, and they wanna sell it. But they need to own the building and the land. And we're kind of driving to get to a sale point, and I've told them I'll carry the paper. They've been wonderful addition to the community. They've been very easy to deal with. No maintenance problems, no payment problems, on and on and on. A landlord has a dream client when you have them like that.
All right. Sue, do we need to get this formalized, or you okay? The comments just made, because they were not made in the mic.
That's really up to you.
Okay.
I think in this case, they were helpful to the board, but they aren't evidence.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. There's nobody else that wants to present evidence at this time. Okay. Then we have our preliminary discussion with any input from anybody that we would like to ask. So floor is open.
I've lived there for several years now on that road. I live in the neighborhood. I don't join the property, but I'm across the road from them. They do provide a significant service, and they have been a very valuable community partner in that area, providing childcare that is very affordable. And while I understand the neighbor's concern, the neighbor did move next to an elementary school. So if they're worried about noise from children, I wouldn't think they'd be living next to an elementary school. I don't believe that the children that be added by the expansion is going to add any significant noise to what's already there. I also believe the strict application would unfairly limit their business to the point where it just wouldn't be fair to them. That's all I have to add at this point.
I have one question. Daniel, if you can pull up the county website,
Yeah.
of the property lines again. Sorry, I should have asked earlier. Yeah, that one.
Hang on 1 second.
Yep.
Sorry.
Is that's incorrect then? Because the red lines are supposed to be the property lines, and the property line runs across the building?
But it is correct that they are incorrect.
Okay,
Yes.
making sure.
They often are not precise on websites like this because they're working off of a photograph.
Sure.
So yes, this is inaccurate.
But it clearly shows the row of trees between, on the west side
Right.
of the property. Okay, and then in the south corner, we see that little building that's there already.
Mhm.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to point out, I believe that the complaining property owner, that his property is much closer to the property line than theirs. The corner of his house.
Yeah, which is of course not something you can do anything about.
Yeah, but I mean, I
Yes.
just make a note of that, yes.
All right. Any other input for our preliminary discussion? If not, Heidi, anything?
Okay,
Heidi?
nope, I'm sorry, I wouldn't unmute. No,
Okay,
I'm good.
all right. Well, then next is our deliberation, considering all the factors set out in the ordinance. I think it's fairly straightforward. We're just talking about setback in the ordinance. What are our findings when it comes to this application? Or what is the discussion about the findings?
I move that unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of these regulations for two reasons. Number one, it's a very strange shape of the property. And number two, the existing building and the property shape were there before the Town of Mills River incorporated. And thus they started with something that was permitted when it was done and now isn't. I'm sorry, Sue, that's terrible. So no reasonable use can be made of the property by today's rules. Do you want me to rephrase that or say it over again?
Would you allow me to read what I've got so far? The motion is that unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the regulation because of the strange shape of the property and the existing building and shape were pre-existing to the town's incorporation and ordinances.
That's a motion.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody second?
I second.
Heidi, you heard the motion.
I did. You want me to third it?
We got a second. All in favor of this motion, say aye. Aye. 5 out of 5 in favor. Next is the question, the hardship of which the applicant complains results from unique circumstances related to the applicant's land.
I'll make a motion that the hardship the applicant complains of does result from unique circumstances related to the land in the sense that the land is a small lot and the structure And the lot size was there before the application of the ordinance. So therefore, the unique circumstances of the land is causing a hardship that would restrict their business and their assisting the community. If we apply strict application of statute or the ordinance.
I'll second.
Sue, do you have that motion? And could you do this again, read it back to us?
I didn't get all of it. But I got the gist of it. If you want me to be more specific, please tell me. Because what I've got is that the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the land. That the land is small, and the structure pre-existed, the town's ordinances, and then you said something about them providing a valuable service?
Yeah, that they provide a valuable service to the community, and that the land in its current state, or the way it is now, if we applied the ordinance, they would restrict their ability to run their business and provide services to the community.
Sue, do you want to read that one out?
Okay. And I apologize, I may not have exactly your words, but we'll see if this works. The hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the land. The land is small and the structure pre-existed. The town's ordinances. Applicant provides a valuable service to the community, and the strict application of the ordinance would restrict them from operating their business.
That's perfect.
And I second.
Second here. Heidi, did you hear the motion?
I did.
All right, we got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5 out of 5. Thank you. Next, the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner.
This is a hard one to word.
I'll make a motion that the hardship did not result from any actions taken by the property owner, as the applicant became in possession of the property after the lot was formed. Prior to them acquiring the property. I guess what I'm saying is the lot size was the lot size when they bought it, and it was formed before they bought it. And there's no action that they've taken to change that.
I'll second.
Can we get a short summary?
Does that make sense, what I was trying to say? No.
I think it, would you like,
Well, actually,
may I read
probably-
you what I have?
Actually, I can probably do it this way. The hardship was not created by the applicant potential buyer. The zoning setbacks were placed on the property and building that has been there since 1968. I would use their words because it seems to make sense to me too.
That worked better for me.
You got that? I'll pick that.
Okay.
I'll pick it up from her.
I'll use the, what's what the applicant put on the, for their record, what they put.
And I will second.
Okay, Heidi, you heard the
I
motion?
did.
All right. We got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5 out of 5 in favor. Next, the variance is consistent with spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance.
I move that the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulation, that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved in that they can make the best use of property that was set up and zoned prior to the Mills River regulations existing.
Sue, you got that one?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I'm sorry. They talk fast, I write slow.
It's fine.
And we want to be sure that these are exact.
Yes, ma'am.
The requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulation, such that the public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved, in that they can make the best use of the property set up and zoned prior to Mills River existing.
I'll second.
Heidi, you heard the motion?
I did. I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5 out of 5. Then we have to make a motion to approve the variance. Is that the right wording?
Yes,
I make a motion to approve variance request 20-03 based on our previous motions.
I will second.
Heidi, you heard the motion?
I did.
All right, we got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5 out of 5. Variance approved. We have to now adjourn this hearing. Is that a separate hearing? Yeah. So, motion to adjourn the hearing.
I will be adjourned.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Next on our agenda is a public hearing, variance 2004. Marcella D. Revis, a request for a variance from lot size. And the applicant is coming into our room right now. Hey.
Hello, hi, my mom, my daughter Lynn. Hi.
I'd like to entertain a motion to open public hearing for this variance 2004.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Well, the announcement of the variance, I did already. It's 2004, request for a variance of minimum lot size. We need to know if any of the board members have any personal knowledge upon which they may rely that is not in the record.
I own the adjacent property.
You own adjacent property. Anything else? No? All right, that's noticed. Next, we need to swear in those that will present evidence. Leave that up to Sue Powell.
My apologies, I was conferring, being the adjacent property owner, as to whether or not he can continue and vote on the board is up to the full membership. He could be affected.
The fact that you are an adjacent property owner, it's up to our other 4 members of the board to see that as a conflict of interest. Is that the right?
Yeah, I see where there's no conflict of interest, really.
No, I understand that's what your position is. The question is if the other 4 members of the board feel the same way.
If we have another situation like we had before where one of our decisions has to go into a court, my fear is that it would be seen as a conflict of interest in the case that we rule against or even for the applicant.
Doesn't the applicant have a say in it, whether they are concerned?
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's up to the board and the applicant.
Okay,
It's actually up to the board as to whether to present it to the applicant.
To present what? The possibility of,
But what I would like to say, and I believe Mr. Hayes could be absolutely favored, that's not my concern. My concern is if it's critiqued by a court, would there be a conflict? And I believe it would be, as far as the court's opinion.
can we get some guidance from our town manager?
Sure. So if the board agrees to proceed, including Mr. Hayes, and he feels he can be impartial, that's a decision the board can make. To Mr. McGaha's point, if reviewed by a court of law, I can't speak for how a judge would view it. But there is the perception, simply because he owns property nearby, that it could be seen as that. The other option is, this is a variance request and there's 5 people here. It takes 4 votes. You could excuse Mr. Hayes from the conversation. He can remain in the room, just not participate or vote. And it would take unanimous vote at that point, as opposed to 4 out of 5. And just like you've done in the past, I think it would be wise to ask the applicant if they're okay with that and removing it, so it would be a 4-0 vote, or if they'd rather wait. We've got some members absent tonight. If they'd rather wait until we have other people present to hear the request again.
Okay, so the question is to the applicant if you would have a problem if we need 4 out of 5 votes. We have 5 members, 4 sitting here and 1 is virtually present. If we would decide to only take the 4 members and exclude Mr. Hayes, that would mean you would need a unanimous vote. You can decide to postpone the hearing so that we have an alternate that would then give you an opportunity to have, again, a full board whereby you only need 4 out of 5 votes.
and February 9th.
And February 9th, we have another meeting planned.
Okay.
We do have a potential meeting planned. Right now, we only have 4 confirmed. I have not checked with the others yet. Heidi, would you be available on February 9th?
On February 9th, stand by.
Well, she's checking.
Yes.
My mom-
Yeah.
Was that a yes?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yep.
We have a full,
My mom's allowing me to speak for her, and she wouldn't have a problem with Mr. Richard Hayes being part of it tonight. She doesn't want to postpone it either.
Okay.
If the applicant's fine with it, I have no issue.
All right. Then move ahead
With Mr. Hayes
with
participating.
Mr. Hayes participating. We would like you to continue to participate so we have the safety built in. That's
Just for the record, Mr. Hayes, if you might ask, Mr. Chairman, if he feels he can be impartial, given the fact that he has property next door. Just for the record.
Mr. Hayes, although you are adjacent property owner, you feel you can be fair in your vote without a conflict of interest.
Yes.
Thank you.
May I, for the record, your name, please?
Lynn Forkin, Forkin.
Thank you.
All right. Then now we got to do the swearing in.
Yes.
So anybody that wants to present evidence needs to be sworn in by our clerk.
And would both of you be speaking?
We may be, yes,
Lynn Forkin and
Marcella Revis.
And ladies, we normally would ask you to swear on the Bible and put your hand on it, but because of COVID, I'm gonna ask you to mime it. Right hand in the air, left hand as though you were on there. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
I do.
All right, next we have our town manager zoning official to present the case, and it says make recommendations, but that may not be exactly.
Okay, so what you have before you this evening, excuse me, a request from Marcella D. Revis for a variance of the required minimum lot size for the Mills River mixed-use zoning district. The property is located at 75 James E. Davis Drive. The specific request is to subdivide the existing tract of 0.43 acres into two new tracts. Tract A is 0.18 acres or 7,841 square feet, and tract B is 0.28 acres or 12,197 square feet. The minimum lot size for the Mills River mixed use district is 30,000 square feet or 0.69 acres. I do want to point out that, first of all, for the record, this property was also posted, letters were sent, it was advertised in the newspaper per state statute, that there is an exemption for subdivisions in North Carolina state law and local code, local Mills River ordinance for family subdivisions. So there are some exemptions that do exist for that with regards to subdivisions. This is specifically related to the zoning lot size requirement per the zoning code. There are two different sections of the chapter of the ordinance, I mean. And so, yes, this is a family subdivision, but the minimum lot size for the zoning district requires 30,000 square feet, which is why you're here this evening. Town received this application on December 21st of last year, and the minimum lot size is described in chapter section 154.066A. And then tract A requires a reduction in minimum lot size of 22,159 square feet. Tract B requires a reduction in lot size of 17,803 square feet. The property is located off of Mount Gilead Church Road, again at 75 James E. Davis Drive. The applicant is seeking variance requested to subdivide the land, and you have there the four standards in front of you. Included with the application, the staff report is the application, vicinity map, site map, and then a plat that was drawn to show how the subdivision will be made. That's the last page of your packet. That's all I have for background.
Okay. We would like to recognize the applicant if you agree or object to any of the exhibits that were presented by our town manager.
Yes, I submitted those, so we agree to that. And when you allow me to speak, I'll explain a little bit of the background.
Thank you. Next is questions that we can address to our zoning official as board members. Heidi, you're on?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Any questions for our town manager?
I have one. Is there a reason for the 30,000 square feet? Like any specific reason that that's the minimum?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'm gonna defer to someone with more historical reference. Bert or Sue, do you happen to know just the?
3/4 acre.
Yeah, 3/4 acres is what that equates to, which I assume is the size that made the most sense, but Sue?
The best answer I have for the reason for it is because your council was trying to control density.
Okay,
And that's what they set on and have kept at.
Back in 2003.
Right, back in 2003, they set that and have not chosen to alter it. And it applies across all your zones.
okay. And when it was being read, you mentioned that there was I don't remember the wording, but that as a family, you could divide it, but it didn't meet the minimum square feet. Is that correct?
That's right. There's a couple different types of subdivisions in the code. There's the family, a minor subdivision, major subdivision, and non-standard subdivision. And minor are those that you're for traditional subdivision, 2 or 3 or 4 lots. And there are specific standards for those with regards to access and lot size, setbacks, all of those sorts of normal development standards. Then there's the family subdivision standards allow for some exemption of those standards, most directly related to access and the type of road that has to be available for land to be subdivided. And so there also are no fees, and the review process is a little bit different for family subdivisions. But the zoning standards still apply regardless of the subdivision type. And that's what brings us here today is the subdivision is not in question. It's the lot size specifically that needs to be varied in order for this to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
That's all I have.
If it is a family subdivision,
mhm.
are there restrictions then on what you can do with part of the subdivision? Can you sell it?
I'd have to read the ordinance to give you a direct answer on that. The owners would have to sign an affidavit stating that they're selling it to or giving it to a family member. Beyond that first transaction, I don't know off the top of my head, but it has to be, if it can be sold outright to someone else, not the family. But the initial subdivision would have to go to a family member.
Yeah, that's a good question, because if we let Mr. Smith divide, and Mr. Smith lives here and Mr. Smith Jr. lives here,
Mhm.
there's your family subdivision.
Mhm.
Mr. Smith Senior passes on, the estate wants to sell it, but basically, we have created a lot that does not go along with what the town wants.
Not necessarily. That's what the lot size requirement does
But
based on its.
could that not create a challenge for a new owner with setbacks and things like that?
No, not likely, because the minimum lot size still applies to a family subdivision.
Yeah. But you just said a minimum lot size is 3/4 of an acre.
Right.
And if you add these two parcels together, you come up with basically a half an acre.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't conform anyway.
Right.
But again, it was created prior to the incorporation of Mills River, so everything was fine, but now it isn't.
The lot itself, as it stands now,
If you look at the last one, tract A is 0.18 acre and tract B is 0.28 acre, which if you round it up, it's 0.3 of an acre and 0.2 of an acre. So that's half an acre.
right,
And we've just determined that the basic lot, residential lot in Mills River is 0.75 of an acre.
right, and that's the basis of the variance request before you this evening,
Right.
is to lower that standard to allow this particular subdivision. This wouldn't apply across the board to future subdivisions.
Oh, I realize that, but you just wonder how deep you get into the regulations, because again, taking the larger tract, you're gonna have side setbacks if they want to build something else on it.
Let's, hold the discussion until later
Right.
and just, take the questions to our zoning official and see if we can get some answers, because I want to give the applicant also a chance to present her reason before we get too far into this.
I'm just trying to fit my brain around the family subdivision permitted and then the problem with the lot size, that's all.
Any other questions for Mr. Collins? Heidi, any other?
No, none for me yet, so far.
Then I would like to recognize the applicant and give her a chance to present evidence, argument why.
Okay.
And if you can come up to the microphone so we can have this all. For how many years
You
from now.
ready with the mask on? Is it on?
It's on, yeah, you're good.
Okay. So for well over 30 years, a family member has lived on that tract. B, it has its own septic system and it links into the well that the two properties, that this would be 3 properties share. We've all lived there, my sister, my brother, and my other sister. For the last 30 years, my brother lived on that piece of tract. So over the years, there's been 3 of us living there. My parents told my brother, before Mills River was incorporated, that he could have that piece of their property. And without that piece of property, he doesn't have a home to live on, which I know plays neither here nor there in this hearing, but it does have its own septic system. It's official. It can always get water, the public water, if it needs to, but it is connected to the well system right now. Should it ever go dry, and they don't want to do another well that the community, the 3 houses would be sharing, the public water comes right down at the end of the property, so that would not be an issue either. Since this is the way it's been well before Mills River was incorporated, my mom would like to make it official, and we feel like it should be grandfathered in before Mills River was incorporated. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, you keep referring to 3 parcels.
Well, 115 James Drive is just past that. Yeah, I don't know if you can.
Okay, but it's not part of your request tonight, it's just
It is
another,
not, but my mom used to own that too.
but it's just another family parcel that in your mind, you're thinking of it, but we don't have to worry.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any other arguments why the current lot would have to be subdivided?
Nothing except that my brother helps take care of my mom. I live in South Carolina. I can't come up here and help. And other than that, I can't think of anything.
Okay. Any questions by board members for our applicant?
I forgot to ask Mr. Cobb a question.
You can. You can do that.
Thank you. You noticed the property just as you always notice the property. Were there any replies in favor or against or neutral or anything?
We did not hear anything.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the applicant? Heidi, any questions?
No questions from me.
May I add something, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just for clarification, because the question was asked with regards to future sale of a family subdivision, there is a affidavit that would have to be submitted with the application to create a family subdivision right now. That would state that the property is going to a family member. But beyond that, a future property shall be reviewed in accordance with provisions set forth in the Town of Mills River subdivision ordinance. So once it's given to a family member, sold to a family member, and that person in the future, 5, 10, 20, 30 years, wants to sell it to someone else that's not part of a family member, they can sell it, no questions asked, but everyone is subdivided, it's subject to the normal subdivision standards of the code in place at the time.
Okay. Next, we have already acknowledged that the public hearing was noticed properly, as was confirmed by our town manager. Recognition of any other person that wants to speak in favor, against, or give evidence. I don't think we have anybody else. Any person wishing to comment, if nobody else, preliminary discussion. We're waiting for the water. There you go. Now Brandon's going to speak. Now you're going to speak.
Tom Rosenthal. Reviewing this and while I appreciate what the applicant put forward, the fact of the promise you've made, my initial feeling is that this doesn't meet the requirements that we've set forth for a variance. Considering unnecessary hardship, this has worked for 30 years. I don't see what hardship has been created, or if we apply an ordinance that at least they can maintain setbacks and things they have, I don't see how a hardship is created on something that's worked for 30 years. A hardship, in my opinion, would be created for any future property owners. If somebody could sell property to make a lot, that's first of all not consistent with the spirit of the ordinance, but it also make a lot that is sold in the future at the time. I appear to be too small to do for future property. If you look under section 2, or under number 2, we're talking about hardship, which the applicant complains on the result of unique circumstance related to applicant's. It makes a note that unique personal and family hardships are irrelevant to the various grant with the land. So we are looking at future uses of this land. And again, the unique personal and family hardships that we can't consider those. But to my understanding, what that says when considering this variance. agree, the hardship was not created by fault of the applicant. I do agree with that on 3. But also on 4, I don't believe that what they're asking for is the spirit. In the variance, in the sense that, these lot sizes were created for population control, for aesthetics and things like that for the town. So I don't believe the variance is consistent with the spirit of the intent of the ordinance. And for those reasons, I don't believe that is supported.
Heidi,
Yes.
any input in our discussion?
Nothing that rolls off my tongue at the moment.
Linda?
I have one question for one of y'all. Looking at the schematic of track B, it shows something towards the top of it that says possible septic tank as described by others. There's no septic on this land right now?
There is, when they came and surveyed it, I didn't point it out to them. So he had originally not marked it, but then I said, there's a septic tank right down there beside that other structure. And so he put it in. Carol Whitaker is the person who put that septic tank in many years ago. And there should be a record of it. Well,
And there is,
Elizabeth Mills River was a township, so I guess that record would be in Hendersonville.
there is a mobile home on it right now.
Not at the moment. We had it removed because it was structurally unsound. At the moment, my brother's living with his mother-in-law.
Does, Mr. Cobb, does this zoning permit mobile homes?
Yes.
Okay.
Input. Heidi, anything?
Nope, no questions.
Do we need any more input from the applicant? I'm a little, I would like to ask a question. I understand that you want to put a second mobile home on the property. Is there a reason that the ownership of the property has then also, from your perspective?
The reason being is that my sister, another sister, myself and my brother, and then a brother who passed away's son, who were in the will. And my parents told my brother that he could live there forever on that part of the property. So to make it, she wants to make it legal so that he can have that piece of the property with his mobile home. And then when she passes away, the tract A with the home on it will be sold, and then the funds will be divided amongst everybody.
Yeah. I think we're setting up for a problem in the future. It is very difficult because I know that our board likes to do whatever is possible to make it work for people living in the town of Mills River. But I see more problems coming by issuing this variance long term, because then we're creating two very small lots that in future will just create more problems with setbacks and other requirements. I don't see this flying really easy. Heidi,
Yes.
I'm for some input from you.
I mean, my biggest thoughts are that for me, of course, being new, I don't know what repercussions, if there are any.
I have a question too, maybe give you some food for thought.
Ma'am, would you mind going to the microphone, please?
The question I would throw out is, since for over 30 years, there has been mobile homes on that piece of property. Until recently, it caused no problems to the community and a family member. And in the future, you're correct, one of the properties or both could be sold to non-family members, but they've always fit well on the piece of property. It's always had its own septic system, and it has been like a subdivision already for well over 30 years. So I don't see that posing a problem for the future, even if it is officially subdivided, because the setbacks, when the mobile home goes on, the setbacks conform as far as the 10 feet or and it's the right of way. So I don't understand how this could be a problem.
Thank you. All right.
So I do have a question.
Yes.
If we were to vote in favor, does that set a precedent? If someone else wanted to subdivide their property, not meeting the minimum requirements of size?
No, Board of Adjustment decisions do not set precedent for the community. Each case is heard on its own merits, independent of decisions made prior to the current request.
Thank you.
I have another question for the property owner. Looking again, looking there, the brown rectangle in the lower right-hand corner, that's the existing house, right?
No, that's the back right, all the way at the back of the property?
No, right there where the arrow is
Oh,
right
yes,
now.
yes, that's the
Okay.
existing home,
That's the existing home, where your mom.
yes.
If you look at the lines that have been drawn in as the quote property lines for parcel A,
Correct. Yeah.
you go right over the property line and you see the concrete pad, which I'm assuming is where the former mobile home was, that
No.
white thing?
No, may I get up and point? Sure. This at the moment is a camper that my brother lived in for a short period of time. This used to be a garage. We had that torn down because it was an eyesore and falling down. That's why the cement pad is there. The mobile homes were always right here.
Okay, because I was concerned when you said it didn't bother setbacks, that it was like button up to
Yes,
it.
no, that's not where the mobile home would be. That's not big enough, large enough. That's just a small camper sitting there. So you'll see where it says the, septic system.
Yeah.
So the septic system is right in there and the mobile home was just behind it. Now, that may not be exact where the septic system is, but it's in that area somewhere. Right now, this is just a shed that was built. So the mobile home that was there before was somewhere right up in here.
Okay, like where it says track B.
Yeah.
I might go to the city water is on that Union Church Road up through my property,
But not sewer.
not sewer, no. It's a 6-inch water main, and 3 fire hydrants.
All right. How do we move with our deliberations, considering all the factors set out in the ordinance, which is basically property, minimum property size? That's the issue.
That's correct. So give me just one moment to confirm with our clerk. One second.
Unfortunately, zoning rules don't take family obligations into mind. So it's not really a hardship. It's a hardship, but it's not a recognizable hardship. For want of a better way to put it. And I vote against it, but I'm not comfortable doing it because I go with the same thought which I brought up with Mr. Smith and Mr. Smith Jr., especially Mr. Smith Jr., who lives in that really small parcel. You can't do anything with that. I mean, the person living there now, God forbid that house burns down, you know, the same part that the daycare thing was before. Can't do anything with it.
So how do we want to move?
You know?
You can start making motions.
So I was just speaking with our clerk, and I think the simplest route forward is to, just like you normally would on those 1 through 4 items, go ahead and go through those. And if there's lack of a second or one of them fails to pass for some reason, then you need all 4 of them. So that's why
It's out.
the case would be denied, yeah.
I make a motion that there is no unnecessary hardship created by strict application of the ordinance. And the fact that this arrangement has been in effect for 30 years. And I do not see how dividing the property into 2 lots would keep them from allowing someone to live there that has people on and off been living there for 30 years. So again, I don't see that the strict application of the ordinance creates an unnecessary hardship.
Sue, you have the motion.
My apologies, that tone went off and I missed the first part of it. I mean, I've got the part where no unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the regulation, and I heard in fact.
And to the fact that
I thought you always had to count it in the positive.
you can make a motion.
You can make a motion.
To
To the fact that someone has lived on and off on that property for 30 years. So that it's not necessary to divide that property into 2 lots to continue to allow that to happen. And I can appreciate that a personal relationship, a promise was made, but I don't believe that can be considered for this, for that reason. I'd like to deny number 1, make a motion to deny number 1. There is no unnecessary hardship.
Question for town manager Sue is what Melinda just said. Do we have to go from a positive approach and then deny the motion, or can we do it like Brandon is proposing and start with denial of the finding, part of the finding, and then it gets sort of complicated.
I have never heard that it had to be a positive motion.
Okay,
I don't believe according to Robert's rules that.
I don't believe it has to be. So what I have from you, Brandon, if I could read this, was that you're making a motion to deny because there is no unnecessary hardship that would result from the strict application of the regulation to the fact that someone has lived there for 30 years and it's not necessary to subdivide.
I'll second.
okay, Heidi, we have a motion and we have a second. Did you hear the motion?
I did.
Okay, so if we vote in favor of this motion, then I have another question at this time for the town manager and Sue. If we deny one, is there a reason to go through all the others?
I would say no, but I would ask you to vote to deny the variance.
Okay, so two votes in that case, if we agree to this motion. Motion on the floor, second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Heidi?
Yep, I was an aye.
Aye. Okay, then this motion was approved by the board, and therefore I would like to entertain a motion to deny the variance.
I make a motion to deny variance request 20-04 based on the previous conversation.
I second.
Heidi, you heard that one?
I did.
All in favor of the second motion to deny the variance? Say aye.
Aye.
Unanimously, 5 out of 5. Deny. I want to make one remark before we adjourn the meeting. This is not with a light heart that we deny variances. I don't want you to feel this as a cold-hearted decision that we take as a board. We're serious, and we do this with a sore heart.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
And I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this hearing.
One more item on the agenda?
Oh,
No, she-
well, the hearing we can close, right?
Yeah, the public hearing, I'm sorry, yeah.
The public hearing, we can close, entertain a motion.
Yes,
Close the
ma'am.
public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, election of officers of our board. And we need to elect a chairman and a vice chairman. Any motions are considered?
I nominate Bert Lindquist as chairman.
I second.
I'll say.
Well, we got 2 seconds.
First one gets recorded.
All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, appreciate it. I would like to make a motion to appoint Linda as our vice chair.
Second.
All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Linda, congratulations.
Bert Singer.
Thank you. Then I'd like to entertain a motion